What's up, people? I am back for another video. Sorry about yesterday. I decided not to review The Haunting. I think it was a good movie. I just didn't really think I could talk about it long. I guess really quick. I like the idea. It's this haunted house. These group of people stay in it, and weird stuff happens. Fun cast: Owen Wilson, Catherine Zeta-Jones. I don't remember who played the main girl. You had Liam Neeson in it. Um, some of the CGI was pretty bad, if I'm gonna be honest, for the time. But the story was pretty fun. It's a simple horror story. I thought the cast had a pretty decent amount of chemistry, especially for a movie like this, where you're gonna need that chemistry. I mean, I'd recommend it. I think it's based off an original. I know there's a movie called The Haunting that came out in the '60s, but the one I watched is the '90s one. And out of 10, like a 7. I do want to watch Scary Movie 2 now, because that's supposedly what Scary Movie 2 is really based off of, was this movie. And I thought the third act was pretty fun, but I didn't want to do a whole video on it, so I decided just to skip to today and just do How to Train Your Dragon. And for that, before I get into it, tomorrow I'm gonna be talking about Superman 3, which, man, not gonna lie, guys, that I'm not really looking forward to the next, because the next 3 Superman films that we're gonna get to, basically at least until we get to Man of Steel, are all bad. This one, Superman 4 might be fun bad. It is bad, but I can at least laugh at it. That Nuclear Man fight is so fucking ridiculous. But this movie is, Superman 3 is pretty bad. Like, it's not fun bad. Like, it's legit bad. Aside from Christopher Reeve, and I guess Richard Pryor. Like, if you kind of just look at this as a Richard Pryor movie, it's fine, but it's not. It's a bad Superman movie. The fact that you don't even have any actual villains that are villains from the comics, though that robot thing in the end you could easily repurpose, or a computer, or whatever it was. Or I think it was a computer. It was like a super computer thing. You could have just made that Brainiac. You easily could just repurpose it to be Brainiac, and it probably could work. But yeah, there are some good scenes though. Like I said, I can't wait to talk about the scene where he does fight himself. I thought that scene was really good. But anyway, now to How to Train Your Dragon. I just never watched these movies, because the first one came out in 2010, and I think I just was not into adult cartoons at that time. Like, not cartoons, let me reword it. I didn't watch animated films after a while. There was just like a period I just stopped watching them. I don't know what it was. Not necessarily like I hated animated movies. I don't know if it was like because I grew out of them at the time. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was just I was more into live action stuff at the time. I don't know. So I just didn't end up watching it, and I just never ended up watching the sequels. So I've been recommended to check these out, and I figure why not review them and talk about them in videos. Might as well, since it's 3 movies anyway. Gives me a couple of weeks to talk about these. And I gotta say, I really did enjoy it. I like the story. Hiccup is a good character. Stoic is probably my favorite fucking character in the whole thing. He is the funniest character in the whole thing. I love the opening, where the way Hiccup introduces himself, and while there's a dragon attack happening, the animation is absolutely beautiful. And I gotta say, compared to some animated movies, not all, there's some really good animated movies now, but up for a bit, I would say this looks better than some animated movies. And I thought the growth of the characters were great. The way they meet the best part of the film, aside from Stoic, is Hiccup's relationship with Toothless. I think that the way they grow is natural. I love the little montage where he's training him while he's also doing his training to fight the dragons, which I'll admit, if I had to say some criticisms, that's probably the weaker part of the movies for me. The Astrid, she's gonna grow on me. And I know she's a love interest, and she starts off like she's the best fighter, and she wants to be the best, the best taking down the dragons. Gobber and Fish Legs and Snarl, like a lot of those other characters, I'm just gonna be honest. Maybe the sequels, they will progress, so I'm giving them, some leeway, but I'll be honest, on first, they're just kind of there for me, which is fine. And I know these are based off books, I've never read the books, obviously, so this I'm just watching them as movies. And I gotta say, like, I really did enjoy it, though. I enjoyed the overall story. I think it's a nice, beautiful story, and I can understand why a lot of people like these movies. It's probably, even after watching them, they're probably not gonna be in my upper echelon of animated movies, but I can understand why these movies have an audience. At least this one. I mean, we'll wait till I'm gonna watch the second one next week, but um, overall, did enjoy it. I would add it into my animated movie list. I'll eventually get back to watching animated movies. Just sometimes, I'll be honest, I do prioritize sometimes live action stuff, especially older at live action stuff. But I would. There are still some animated movies I do. I still watch The Incredibles. I still watch like um, Shrek, um, and and I think that's the other thing. This one does a good job of not feeling. I think that's part of it too, because I grew out of it. Sometimes the animated movies, there were times it felt like it was too kiddie, and not all of them, but like even the ones when I grew up, yeah, they were for kids, but they did have an edge of you could watch them as adults. Whereas there's some animated movies now, I'm like, I don't know if I could watch this as an adult. I feel weird, like granted, like I think Big Hero 6, there's some good ones, Puss in Boots, but I think that's because it's tied with Shrek. Shrek have I've always they're for kids, but there's stuff for adults in there. But I think this one has a nice balance. I would argue this one's still a little bit more geared towards kids, but it's not a flat out kiddie movie, especially the third act, man, when that big ass dragon in the end, like the main dragon or the boss dragon, and the Red Death, which is that's the big dragon. That was a pretty good third act. Not necessarily they didn't show people dying, but they implied it, and it doesn't just feel like I'm watching a kids movie. So I think they do that. They do a good job of doing that. So yeah, I like this movie. Can't wait to watch the second one. We'll see where these characters go. I'll be honest, I don't love Astrid so far. But I didn't love Cordelia at first in Buffy. There's a lot of characters I didn't necessarily like at first, and they eventually grew on me. So we'll see. The next two, we got two more movies, so she has a chance to grow. I'll just be honest. And it's not even for the reasons you would think. Not because I think, oh, she's a girl boss. No, it's not that. She was kind of flat for me, especially compared to some of the other characters. Um, but like I said, they grow, and the next two maybe she'll fucking be great by the second one. So it's like I said, I'm gonna give it a chance, giving her a shot. But everything else I love, especially the scenes with Toothless and Hiccup. Like that's some of the best parts of the movie. Actually really love that intro too. That and the way they do. I also really think this movie does a good job with the world building. Like for a first movie, they really do a good job of establishing this world. Like even with the opening scene, it was exposition, but it wasn't an exposition dump. I think there are two different things. You can have exposition, but when it's just an exposition dump just for the sake of an exposition dump, that's when it's bad. But the exposition in the opening where Hiccup's talking about like his Viking village and going into like the people and talking about his father in the end, um they do really good job of that. And you know Hiccup's friendships and the world of the dragons and type of dragons, and even the training, both like when he's training to tame the dragon and when he's training to fight them, they do a really good job with the balance. And yeah, so I like this movie. So out of 10, mm, I'll give it an 8. Especially for like an animated movie, I'm ranking as an animated movie. Yeah, I'd give it an 8. I think it does a good job. It does a good job world building. I don't know if I'd put this up there with some of the more iconic animated films, but I think this is good. So, but yeah, I can't wait to watch the second one. And like I said, Superman 3 tomorrow, and I am not really looking forward to that. That movie's so bad. But anyway, I'll get more into that a little bit later. Pin Down Podcast. We have a recording that I did on Tuesday that's going to be uploaded on Tuesday. On Saturday before Survivor Series. On the Pin Down Podcast channel. Check it out. Link will be in the description. But yeah, let's get into How to Train Your Dragon. And I'll find a Screen Rant article. It's just lately. I don't know if it's because Trump won, so like the wokies are hiding. Because I'll be honest, I have not found any articles. Like I have been looking, so I'll look again. I'll see if I can find some this week to talk about because I do want to do more videos. It's just they're just hiding, they're dodging. Anyway, let's get into the video. So I love this opening where you're introduced to this world. The village is being attacked by dragons. It goes into it. It's a good intro too, because it's not too long. It's like a quick, maybe 10 minutes, 15 at most, but it goes quick while this village is being attacked. You have Hiccup, who's the son of the chief. Stoic is deemed too weak to fight, so he's a blacksmith, and you have Hiccup, who uses a bolas, which is kind of like what Batman does to wrap, to capture things. He manages to capture the Night Flyer. Night Fury, it's not Night Flyer. I think I'm thinking of another movie. Night Fury, which is a nickname of a dragon that is probably not powerful, probably one of the more powerful dragons because it doesn't get seen and it's never been captured. And I really love when movies make that a point, like when this thing has never been captured or how dangerous or how powerful a thing is. It's like it builds tension. We haven't even seen the dragon yet because we don't know what Toothless, but we don't know what Toothless looks like. So I think they really do a good job of this in this opening scene, this whole opening sequence, and we get the reveal because he does manage to capture the dragon, but it's not seen by anybody, and then he gets attacked by another dragon, which then causes damage to the village. So now he's seen as a fuck up. Essentially, that's kind of the story. It's like he's seen as a fuck up. He goes into the forest the next day. He wants to capture, he wants to fight dragons and like his father, but his father doesn't want him to do it. So he goes into the forest. This is where he finds Toothless, and he tries to kill him, but he can't do it. Every time he tries to stab him, he just can't do it. He ends up setting him free, and seemingly at first Toothless is about to kill him, but then he lets him go. So, since he spared him. Then there's a scene where Hiccup's father gives a speech about getting ready to find the dragon's nest, which I actually love. Like, because that's what I like about this movie. I think that's why it works for me too. And I probably should have watched it then, because I do like Vikings, and I do like, even though Vikings aren't necessarily medieval, but it's like in a similar-ish time frame. I just love that, like, medieval Viking, just, even though they're different, knight, just that kind of aesthetic. So I think that would have sold me. I don't know, this movie probably just came out and I just never watched it. It's weird. It's wild. So, I kind of regret it now, because I actually think it's a really good movie, especially the way the world is built and set up. And yeah, so Hiccup is his father allows Hiccup to start training to capture dragons. And initially, obviously he fucks up and he actually nearly killed, and he has a crush on Astrid, who's one of the up and coming recruits who's actually really good. And this is where my problem goes. And I get she's written that way and she's going to grow. But she, gives him no time of day till the moment she sees fucking trading a dragon. And, and I get it. She's going to grow as a character. That's a trope. Because that happens. Even in other movies where a guy has a crush on a girl, she doesn't give him the time of day until she sees him do something cool. I mean, as much as I say to say it, Mary Jane was kind of like that. So I can't, in that aspect, I can't go fully in on Astrid, because I've seen this with other love interests, and even Lois Lane, But behind the scenes, he's actually been training with Toothless, and starts realizing Toothless actually is starts realizing maybe he's able to tame him, and so he starts training with Toothless to be able to train him. Eventually, being able to ride him to fly him, which that was cool. That was one motherfucker. Hold on. Anyway, sorry about that. And he starts training, and one day, because while this is happening, he starts incorporating some of his taming into the actual training to capture the dragons, but he doesn't want anyone to know, and he starts getting admiration from his peers. And Astrid initially, kind of starts getting suspicious. She's like, what's happening? Why is everyone all of a sudden starting to like him? Oh, I thought the fucking helicopter left. Sorry about that. So she ends up following him and sees what happened. And Stoich's fleet comes back from a battle. But as this happens, she realizes what happens, and she actually starts liking Hiccup. And I'll admit, when she does start liking him, they do have good chemistry. Like I said, I think she will grow on me. It's just time. Because, there are characters, it's going to always happen where there's characters you first meet. Going back to example, I brought this up earlier. Buffy, Cordelia. When you first meet her, she's just like a mean girl. And then eventually, throughout the seasons, and even obviously bleeding into Angel, she's a great fucking character. So I think it is time. There are characters that start off very shit, or starts off as pieces. I won't say she's a piece of shit, but, start off like not likable, and then eventually become likable. So I think it will happen. She even flies with them when they're flying on Toothless. This is where Hiccup must kill a dragon. And this is where before this part, I think I got the order wrong. He must kill a dragon, so he tries to run away with Toothless, but that's when she captures him. That's when they do the fly scene, and then they fly to the dragon's nest because he's drawn to the dragon's nest because it's a dragon. So because you see all these dragons flying, and like the animation is really good, man. That is the one thing I do kind of miss. That old, I guess you want to call it CGI 3D animation style. I do. Something about the older 3D animation style looks better to me. Granted, some 3D animation today looks beautiful, like Puss in Boots looks beautiful. But then some of the current Disney movies, I'm not going to say they don't look bad, but they do just look something, I don't know want to say generic. I guess a way generic of the modern 3D animation. Because this movie, it's not that old, but 2010, kind of compared to now, I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of prefer this animation over some of I haven't watched all the Disney movies, just seeing some of the trailers and some of the newer Pixar movies. I'm going to say it, I prefer the animation in this. I actually prefer the animation in Shrek than some of the newer Disney movies, too. So it's not like... It's something about... I'm just going to say it. Something about older 3D animation just hits better for me than sometimes newer 3D animated movies. So, they go to the dragon's nest. And the Red Death summons the dragons. And basically, it's essentially like the king of the dragons, and the dragons have to feed it food before they get killed. And they're chased out when they're seen. Because I think Toothless makes a noise, or somebody makes a noise, and the dragons see him. So they manage to escape, but they get back to the village, but they don't want to... Hiccup doesn't want to tell his father because he wants to protect Toothless, because he knows his father will just be like, kill him. Especially when it's the Night Fury, the one they've been really looking for. So, the final exam, he faces the monstrous nightmare dragon, and he actually nearly tames it. There is a moment where he nearly has it, but then his father freaks out because he refuses to kill it. But his father, bangs on, the railing or something that's metal, so it startles it, and it freaks out, tries to kill... Because he actually nearly had, I'm not kidding you, the dragon, if he had just put his hand on it, it was, this second away from him taming it. Oh my god, this fucking helicopter is not going the fuck away. Sorry, guys. So he's nearly killed, but Toothless manages to hear um, Hiccup screams and manages to save Hiccup. And Stoic, confronts his son. And yeah, yeah, he has his moments, right, where he's a good father. It's just, you have those moments, right? So he kind of nearly pretty much disowns his son. And then he goes to his friends, and Hiccup shows that his friend, you can actually start training the dragons, and he each start getting one. And that's when Stoic and the Vikings confront the dragons. And I'm not gonna lie, this third act's really good. It really picks up. I love this battle. And that's when the Red Death comes, and they're pretty much nearly beaten. Like, they don't necessarily show it. It's an animated movie, so they're not going to show people dying, but they imply it. That's the one thing I respect. Sometimes, granted, older Disney used to, but some of the later Disney movies, they're almost like scared to acknowledge that death happens. So, I do like when a movie like this has no problem. They don't show it, right? But they do imply it. And Hiccup and his friends ride on the dragons and distract the Red Death. And you have a moment between Hiccup and his father. I'm not gonna lie, I love that scene. That's why Stoic is just such a good character. I love his character throughout the fucking movie. He is funny, and yeah, there's like only the accent thing. It's whatever, because his son has like clearly an American voice, and his father has an accent, but whatever. That's one of those things that you just gotta not think about. You just gotta. There is a scene he does do his father's accent, and it's God, this fucking helicopter. But yeah, that's like some of my favorite moments. So, but Toothless and Hiccup managed to destroy the Red Death after teaming up, and that was a good fight, man. And the Red Death's a cool design too, especially for a villain. Even though you don't see it a lot in the movie, it's fine, because it's Dragon. It's more about the characters and Toothless. You have other dragons throughout the movie. You don't necessarily need to see. It's not like It's not like a villain that can talk, right? It's a creature, so it's not gonna be a situation where you're gonna show it all the time. And plus, you have other dragons. The Red Death isn't gonna just come out all the time. It came because they attacked its nest. It's gonna protect its nest, right? So it's not gonna just leave like that. So I think they did a good job of like building him up. You saw his face. You saw him really only in arguably two scenes. The scene back at the nest initially when you first see it, only see his head, and then the third act. And I think that's a good thing. You don't need to see it every second. I like that build. But it was a good villain, it was a big dragon, looked cool. Hiccup gets knocked off Toothless, and they go to find Toothless, who's seemingly down, but they saw that Toothless actually protected their son, so they end up sparing Toothless, and Hiccup ends up losing his leg, which that's wild. That is a crazy thing that they showed in a kid's movie. That's what I mean. Like, I should have watched this when I was younger. I was 14 when this came out. I don't know. I just didn't see it. I should have seen it because this wasn't. Maybe it was around this time or a little bit after. Where I'm just like, animated movies, not all. You could argue I'm more talking about Disney because this is Disney, this is Paramount. But a lot of, especially Disney animated movies, felt like, okay, this is just kind of kiddie now. It's not even like trying to be. And I get it. There's nothing wrong for kids, but I like the aspect of it being family. That you can be an adult and watch. I'm not saying there needs to be fucking killing every second or cursing in certain themes. I'm not saying that needs to be in there, but God, man, there was a period when I felt like some kid movies were just very kiddie, and I'm just like I couldn't get into it. But this, I should have, because I mean the fact that Hiccup lost his fucking leg, man, that's fucking wild. And so Gobber gives him a prosthetic, which was nice. Gobber was another good character. I should have mentioned him more in the review, but yeah, Gobber was a good character too. Um, Hiccup is now considered a hero. Him and Aster are basically dating now, and he's friends with the group. And Burke now lives with dragons. So I love this movie. This is a fun, nice little movie, feel good movie. I can understand why people like it, and I understand why this has a fan base. You know, I'll admit I'm not gonna put this up there with some of the upper echelon of animated films, especially 3D ones, animated ones, but this one is good. And I definitely do regret not seeing it, even not in theaters, but even just at the time, you know. But yeah, 8 out of 10, really good movie. Astrid, we'll see if she grows on me as a character and some of the other characters, but overall, I fucking love this movie though. I still really enjoy it. And actually, looking at the cast, Gerard Butler as Stoic fucking works. Fucking Leonidas. Fuck. Craig Ferguson. You got Jonah Hill, T.J. Miller, who did he was in Deadpool. Kristen Wiig. Pretty David Tennant's in this. Like, pretty big fucking cast. Jesus Christ. But, yeah, I really like this movie. So I can't wait to watch the second one. See where the second one goes. And yeah. Now, tomorrow is going to be wild because Superman 3, dude. As a kid, I really liked it. It is bad. I remember watching it a couple years ago, and I was so ready to call it and just rage quit. I was so, it's boring. A lot of it, there's just nothing happens. I do like the scene where he saves the factory. The opening scene when he's saving the factory is pretty cool. And I like some of the score, even though it's clearly not John Williams, but Lois is barely in it. I do like Annette O'Toole as Lana Lang, but I don't think she's one you should do. I've always felt like she should only be dating Clark when he's younger. I've never been a fan. Like, you could have her come to Metropolis randomly one time like they did in the animated series, but I don't think she should be yeah, she was Superman's first girlfriend, but I've never felt like she should have been in the bigger Superman mythos in the long term. It should always be him and Lois. Or if you're going to have him and another woman, maybe even Wonder Woman, but not Lana. There's no point of ever bringing her character back to me. She's one of those characters, she exists, but she should be in the back burner. I understood, though. I don't know what happened between them and Margot Kidder, if maybe because they clearly reduced her role. Like, and like I said, Richard Pryor's fun, but oh man, the villain's terrible. It's a ripoff of version of Gene Hackman's Lex. It should have just, if you're just gonna do that, you should have just brought Hackman back in this, and not just have a guy who's literally. The only difference is it's not real estate, but it's essentially something similar. It's a rich guy doing dumb shit. Yeah, this movie's not good. The only good parts is when he fights himself and he beats the bad version of himself and he rips off the suit and you see the S, and then he, stops the oil spill and actually starts saving people. That part was good. It's just the rest of the movie is just no. Superman 4 is bad, but at least I can kind of laugh at that one. 3 is just bad. Not as bad as Returns, but it's still bad. Anyways, we'll be talking about that tomorrow. Yeah. But, Pin Down Podcast, subscribe to it. Link will be in the description. I really liked How to Train Your Dragon. And, yeah. But, that'll be all. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Alright, y'all. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Peace.